Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. Continuing our look at Duel Decks, we're now going to move on and look at Phyrexia versus the Coalition. In this video we're going to look at one of the decks, and then in the next video we'll look at the second deck. Just to give you a clue on when this was released in the middle of original Zendikar block, so 2010, way before Phyrexia had kind of had their resurgence in Scars and Mirrodin. So yeah, the Phyrexias were kind of on the back burner for a while. They were still made to make like their kind of big return, which obviously just carried on for years after they got released, re-released in Scars Mirrodin. So this dual deck is actually quite interesting because it's portraying kind of like a historical event, which I don't think any other dual decks do. In that it's showing like kind of the first Phyrexian invasion of Dominaria in terms of like lore and events and stuff. And and because of that, like all the cards in here are actually like quite old cards, like cards I looked at way back in season one, like around Invasion era, but they've all got like new frames. They're obviously all new frames. Some have got new art. So yeah, it's actually kind of interesting in that regard. Whether or not it stands up as a product, I think is we'll discover that as we get onto it. But yeah, let's make a start, and we'll look at the Phyrexia deck first, which is mono black. Of course, it's mono black because Phyrexia was all in black back in the day. It wasn't Scars and Mirrodin where we got Phyrexians in all different colours, which I love, by the way. I love that Phyrexia is in all different colours. But yeah, this is when they were solidly just in black, and artifact as well. So we've got 17 creatures, 10 artifacts, 6 instants, 1 sorcery, 1 enchantment, and 25 land. Obviously, a bunch of singletons in here, so really high variance in play. But yeah, let's dive in and start looking. We've got a mana curve off to the side there as well. So the foil face card is Phyrexian Negator, 2 and a black for a 5/5 with trample. Whenever it's dealt damage, you sacrifice that many opponents. So obviously super pushed. 3 mana for a 5/5 trample. So this is back from original like Urza's block, and it was like a bit of a house back in the day. Obviously like a really good finisher for like black control decks, because you would kill everything and then this would kind of end the game in a few swings. And obviously it's a really serious drawback, but it's obviously incredibly good for its cost. I think this is a really interesting choice to have as the foil face rare. You could argue maybe like the Phyrexian Plague Lord could have been the foil face rare as well, because like that's also an equally like iconic classic Phyrexian creature. But yeah, having the Negator here I think is pretty cool. So yeah, good. Probably like the best creature out like between the two decks, honestly. Just to say, just in terms of costs and effectiveness. Yeah. Then we've got a Phyrexian Plague Lord, 3 and triple and double black for a 4/4. You can tap and sacrifice it to give something -4/-4 turn, or you can sacrifice a creature to give something -1/-1 to end a turn. So this is like there's a whole like vertical cycle of these like carriers. And I think the other 3 are in the deck actually, yeah, because it's pretty much using every Phyrexian creature that it could at the time. Yeah, Plague Lord's pretty great. I'm pretty sure it's shown up in an old theme deck that I looked at, back in season 1. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. Like that ability to sacrifice any creature at instant speed, doesn't require any mana, so it's something that's going to die anyway, turn it into a kill spell. And there's like a lot of small creatures in the coalition deck, so it's actually pretty threatening. And then the big -4/-4 obviously can kill pretty much anything. Again in the other deck, because it does have like some of the it does have obviously some bigger creatures. But yeah, I really like Plague Lord being here. I think it's a good classic Phyrexian creature. And then we've got Phyrexian Colossus, big and stompy at 7 mana for an 8/8. Doesn't untap during your untap step. Not necessarily a problem, because there's a few combo pieces in here to actually make that work. You can pay 8 life to untap it. And it has like super menace. It can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. Yeah, so just another like big stompy thing. Not as good I think as the Negator or the Plague Lord, just because it is expensive and has that drawback. But again, like we're gonna see like between these two decks, like because they're older cards, like a lot of them are gonna have like they're either going to be kind of like overcosted or kind of weak in certain ways, like not what we'd expect from cards like at this point of the game's history, which is like 2010. We'd expect something a little bit better, but it's kind of nice as a throwback retro product, I think. Yep, so we do have all the carriers, and I was pretty sure they did. So yeah, Phyrexian Denouncer, Phyrexian Debaser, Phyrexian Defiler. So yep, they all just scale up and give various levels of -X, -X. I think out of all of them, my favorite is probably the Debaser, just because it has flying, so it just serves as a bit of an evasive creature. But I think they're all good in different ways. I would have liked to have more of these, honestly. I would have liked to have maybe 2 of each. Rather than kind of like the more scattergun approach we've got, like a lot of singletons. But like it's fine as is, I think. But yeah, of the three, I think Debase is probably my favorite. But I think they're all good. And then we got Order of Yawgmoth, 2 and double black for a 2/2 with fear, so it can't be blocked set by artifact creatures or black creatures. Whenever it deals damage to a player, they discard a card. So kind of like a Spectre variant, I suppose. You know, if it's evasive and it gets through and it causes a discard. Yeah, I think this is fine at like 4 mana. Sanguine Guard. This is a card I really liked, like back in the day, like back when I was playing Magic in yeah, like middle school sort of age, when Urza's block was new. Yeah, Sanguine Guard really stood out to me. It was a card a friend had in his deck, and he'd done the impossible back in those days, which was have like 3 of them in his deck. And man, this card like was a terror because like 3 mana for a 2/2 with first strike and regeneration, and we didn't maybe completely understand how regeneration worked, but like it looked super cool. You know, had first strike, so it was the pain to deal with. Had like super cool flavor text. Yeah, Sanguine Guard is a card that I'm very fond of. As it's a shame there's only one of them in here, but yeah, super cool card. I really like it. I really like these like the black zombie Phyrexian knights. I think that's really cool. I think they're just a cool aesthetic, like really biomechanical, horrible cyborg things. They're great. I love them. I've got 2 Priest of Gix, 2 and a black for a 2/1. When it ends the battlefield, does Dark Ritual, gives you triple black, which is okay. So it sort of pays for itself, I suppose you could view it that way, or it's you know, you pay it and then you do another 3-drop on the turn. I suppose see it that way. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. Single carrion feeder, who's basically the only like non-Phyrexian creature, like or Phyrexian themed creature in the deck. I mean, it's still good. It's a 1 black mana for 1/1. It can't block, but you can sacrifice a creature to put a +1/+1 counter on it. And again, that's at instant speed, doesn't require any mana. So it can like build up pretty big, I suppose. And you do have a few ways of actually making tokens in the deck. So it's nice to have like kind of a sacrifice outlet for him. Actually, you know, the other 2 cards on this slide as well, they're all like sacrifice payoffs actually. So Phyrexian Ghoul, I think, is the most straightforward. 2 and black for a 2/2. You sacrifice something to give it +2/+2 turn. So a bigger boost, though temporary. And then Phyrexian Broodlings, 1 double black for a 2/2. 1 and sacrifice a creature to get a +1/+1 counter. So I'd say the carrion feeder is better than the broodlings, just because it's cheaper and you know, not having to pay mana for that ability, I think makes it like a little bit better personally. Again, I think both are like perfectly fine in their own way. Then we've got a single Bone Shredder, 2 and a black for a 1/1. With flying an Echo, 2 and a black. So Echo is you have to pay the Echo cost the turn after you've played it, otherwise it gets sacrificed. When it ends the battlefield, though, you destroy a non-artifact, non-black creature, which is pretty much every creature in the Coalition deck. So if you don't want to pay the Echo cost, it's kind of like a sorcery speed terror effect, which is fine. But if you pay the Echo cost, then it sticks around as like a little small flyer, which is fine, I suppose. I think you'd have to like really think about like, is 3 mana worth paying the Echo cost just to keep a 1/1 flyer? I think you know, all the value really is in its ETB effect, obviously. Single Phyrexian Gargantua, 4 and double black for a 4/4. When it ends the battlefield, you draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. Yeah, just a nice bit of card draw on a big body. This is pretty great. I don't think Phyrexian Rager's in here as well, which is a real shame because I really like Phyrexian Rager. And like because this is like the next one up from Rager, because it's essentially 2 Phyrexian Ragers stuck together. So yeah, it's a real shame this one's yeah, that wasn't included. I think there's actually one in, I want to say like a Commander or Modern Horizon set, which is like the next one up from Phyrexian Gargantua, which is like a 6/6 and you draw 3 cards. I might be making that up, but I think that's like the next one in the cycle. But as I say, I might be making that up. Someone stick in the comments below if I've just invented a card. We've got Phyrexian Battleflies, 1 black mana for a 0/1 flyer, and you can spend black to give it +1/+0 to end turn, but only twice each turn. It's essentially like a functional reprint of like the old vampire bats. It's okay. It's like it's a you know, it's a cheap flyer that has like a pump ability. It's fine, I suppose. And then finally a Phyrexian Hulk, just 6 mana for a 5/4, which I don't think was needed in this deck. I mean, like, yeah, it's a Phyrexian themed creature, but yeah, we're playing mono black. We've got better than this. I think just a second Gargantua would have been fine. I don't think we need, because even at the time this was like kind of inefficient, like 6 colors for a 5/4 with no abilities. It is super cool artwork though. I really like this. But yeah, maybe not the best choice, even though it is like very obviously Phyrexian themed. But it does interact with some of the cards we're going to see a bit later on. So yeah, we'll move on to non-creature spells. So we've got two really nice reprints here actually. So we've got a single Phyrexian Arena. So not the first time been reprinted, but the first time been reprinted with the original art. So 1 and double black enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Super good card for like doubling your draw every turn. And I've talked about this before, like in some of my older videos. Especially, I think there was a theme deck. I'm pretty sure where this was one of the rares. And yeah, I love cards like this because I think they're always a really good teaching tool for new players who are like maybe the demographic for like this kind of project. They would have picked up, like maybe shared it with a friend and played these 2 decks against each other. And a new player sees this and like, oh, I don't want to lose life every turn. But obviously, as you get more experience, there's kind of like that hurdle that you pass as a Magic player where you realize that like it's fine to pay life to get more resources. So I love cards like this as a teaching tool. And then Living Death, this is a really nice reprint. So 3 and double black. Basically, you essentially swap. Everyone swaps what's in their graveyard, what's in play. It's written in sort of like convoluted magic ease to make sure that works in terms of rules. But yeah, that's basically how it works. And you've got like I guess sort of a sacrifice theme here. So I guess the theme is you sacrifice maybe a bunch of creatures, make some of your stuff really big. You swing with that maybe dies, and then you do Living Death and then you get it all back, possibly. Maybe that's the way, because like you don't have like a dedicated like mill strategy or something. You're not like a real like reanimator deck. So this is a good card, but as is so often the case, I'm not sure if it's living up to maybe its full potential in here. But like it's better to have the card in here than not have it. It's still a strong card. Then just some removal decks. So we got a single Slay, 2 and a black. You destroy a green creature, it can't be regenerated, and you draw a card. So the majority of the Coalition deck is green because the Coalition deck is 5 colors. So that means it's going to be obviously mostly centered in green. So this hits. This hits pretty much all the creatures in it. There's a few that dodge it, but like the majority of the creatures it hits. So that's all right. A single Hideous End, which is kind of a little bit disappointing because we just had this in Garrick versus Liliana, and there was definitely like a whole different range of different black kill spells it could have been, but like it's still okay. 1 and double black, destroy a non-black creature, which is pretty much every creature in the Coalition deck. I don't think there's Daragaz. Daragaz is the single black creature in the Coalition deck, so it can't hit him, hits everything else, and its control loses 2 life, so tack on a bit of life loss, that's fine. 2 Tendrils of Corruption does X damage to a creature or player, and you gain X life, where X is the number of swamps you control. We're playing mono black, so we've got a bunch of swamps, so this is pretty good. Scales up really nicely. 2 Dark Rituals with my second favorite Dark Ritual art. My first favorite is like the I can't remember who the artist is, but it's like the crazy warlock guy. And he's I think it's been in it was in the demonic dual deck. This is my second favorite one with like the Phyrexian altar. That's really good. Dark Ritual obviously super good. 1 black mana to add 3 black mana, and yeah, obviously so you can power out something a few turns early. So really nice. Really nice. There's 2 of them as well actually. Single Phyrexian Totem, so 3 mana here for a mana rocket, taps to give you black, and you spend a 2 and a black, and you can animate it into basically like a Phyrexian Negator, so it becomes a 5/5, and it has the same ability where like if it gets damaged, you sacrifice that many permanents. So it's like it's a nice like backup creature, I suppose, to have in that regard. So you can swing with 2 of them, which is pretty nice. We've got a single Worn Power Stone, 3 mana, it enters the battlefield tapped, and you add 2 to your mana pool, so it's kind of like a fixed Soul Ring, I suppose. I mean, like, still good. I mean, you've still got some effects in here that, like, definitely, want an extra 2 mana rock, I suppose. This is a really nice reprint. I really liked this. Phyrexian Processor with new art. So 4 mana. As it enters the battlefield, you pay any amount of life, and you pay 4 and tap, and you make a XX creature token where X is the life you paid for Phyrexian Processor. So this is one of the cards. Going back to Phyrexian Arena, we're saying like, oh, when you're sort of new and starting out, you realize that life is a resource. This is one of the cards that really like taught that to me because it was a card I managed to get a hold of back in Urza's block when it was originally printed, and I was just like, oh wow, if I put this in a deck that like with life gain cards, I could do like 10 and then just make 10 10s for like 4 mana. And I did, and I was like, oh, it's okay to pay life for effects. So yeah, really like Phyrexian Processor. I'm really, really happy it's included in here, and it combos really nicely with a later card in here. And I don't think. I think there is some artifact destruction in the coalition deck. I can't remember off the top of my head, but or bounce effects. Bounce is actually worse for this. To like to return it, and then you have to replay it again and choose life again. Which is if you after you've just gone big and chosen 10, can be really really backbreaking. Single Hornet Cannon, so 4 mana and artifact. You can pay 3 and tap. You make a 1/1 flying insect artifact creature token. It's got flying and haste, which is pretty cool. So it's it's a little evasive creature, and also it's sacrifice fodder for like Carrion Feeder and the Phyrexian Broodlings. Destroy it at the beginning of the next end step. So we just had all my Mirage decks where I was going like banging on about things that like, oh, it says bury when it should say sacrifice, and I had this whole spiel of like, oh, if you can give it indestructible then it's fine. And a lot of those Mirage cards actually got Eritard to be sacrifice instead of bury. In this case though, this is the update warning, it is definitely destroy it at the beginning of next end step. So if you can find a way to regenerate that insect or make it indestructible, you get to keep the insect, which I feel like goes against the intended use of the card. But there we go, that's out there. If you do with that information what you will. And then a whole bunch of nice little utility artifacts here. So a single Phyrexian Vault, 3 mana, you can pay 2, tap, sacrifice a creature, draw a card. So this goes well, obviously, with like the Hornet Cannon and a few other things, I guess. Things like you've only got like 17 creatures in the deck and nothing that really like recurs things apart from maybe like Living Death. So you might, don't go too mad on this because a lot of the creatures have also got their own sacrifice effects. So it might be kind of hard to find something to like double dip on this, I suppose. We've got 2 Puppet Strings, 3 mana artifact. You can pay 2 and tap to tap or untap target creature. This is really nice. I think I really like this. Bit of flexibility. You can either use it to tap down, enemy creatures, get blockers out of the way, or stop attackers, or like untap your stuff, give it kind of like pseudo vigilance, or stuff that's got tap effects. Do that. And then this is the real juicy thing in here. I kind of wish there'd been 2 of these actually. 2 single voltaic key. So 1 mana artifact, you pay 1 and tap to untap target artifact, which is absolutely just combo fuel. And this goes with so many nice things in the deck. It goes with Phyrexian Colossus, it goes with the Processor, it goes with Hornet Cannon, goes with Puppet Strings, goes with the Power Stone. Yeah, I really, really wish there'd been 2 of the voltaic key in here because, like I say, it goes with so many things in the deck. Like really, really good potential. And there's no tutors as well to like dig it out, which is a real shame. You obviously got like some card draw, but yeah, I really wish there'd been 2 of these or ways of finding it, I suppose. And then randomly, just 2 bits of really good equipment. So a single Lightning Greaves, so 2 mana, equip 0 to give something Shroud and Haste, which is obviously fantastic. Everyone knows and loves and hates Lightning Greaves. So this obviously goes really nicely on the Phyrexian Negator. So it can't be targeted by make burn spells. It's got haste, so yeah, really, really nice. The equip 0 and haste, I think, makes this really, really nice. And then a single Whisper Silk Cloak, which also goes really nicely on the Phyrexian Negator, to give it unblockable and Shroud again, so it can't be targeted, and also so it can just swing away as a 5/5. Yeah, so 2 really, really nice bits of equipment here. Not Phyrexian themed at all, but just good cards to include. And then we've got 25 Swamps. So yeah, overall I think the deck is actually fairly strong. I would have liked maybe more like not reanimation effects, but like raised dead effects or something, some sort of like graveyard recursion, because you are quite sacrifice heavy, and you have got some ways of making tokens, but like not enough maybe. I'd like to know what you think about this one, and also like missing. There's maybe a few Phyrexian themed cards that aren't in here that could have been in here again. Like if you want to share some ideas, what could have been in the deck and like what you'd maybe take out. I'd love to know what you think about this one. I really like this one actually, considering what the other one's like, as we're going to see in the next video. Mild spoiler there. But yeah, stick a comment below if you've got any thoughts about this one. I hope you join me next time when I look at the Coalition deck. So thanks for watching and listening, and have a great day.